actually, game one, they had to really come from huge adversity in that game. That was a game where Hershey is just an explosive team. They're the defending Calder Cup champions, number one offense in the league. They are fast. They score a lot. They led the league in goals. This is a dominant team, and Columbus is probably, or you see, now I'm messing up. Cleveland is probably the best defensive team in the league, so it's a really intriguing matchup. So Cleveland's defense trying to hold on in game one, and it was 3-0 at one point. And I thought we were in big trouble, and then they clawed their way back. I'm sorry, 2-0 at one point, and then it was 4-2. And with 3:50 to play in the game, the Monsters in the final 3 minutes were able to tie it, send it to overtime at 4 apiece. Jet Greaves is the all-star goaltender for the Monsters. If you're not familiar, he's an absolute stud. He spent several games, I think over 60 games with the Columbus Blue Jackets the last 2 years, so he has a ton of pro experience. So he really has helped carry the team. Cole Sillinger's younger brother, Owen, he really has stepped up for the Monsters. But yeah, they lost a tough one. Like I said, Jet was coming off injury, Rachel. So he didn't look like himself. And I think that kind of set the tone for the Monsters where they weren't able to set their defense up in game one. So that kind of threw them off, and it allowed Hershey to play their game and win in overtime 5-4. Now, game two, as you watched, was more of a Monsters game. I told you that they were going to muck it up. And that's exactly what they did. They slowed down the Bears. Honestly, I was heartbroken because I really thought they were going to win the way that the game was going. I really thought they were going to win, especially when it went to overtime. Hershey looked gassed. They looked beat up. That's another thing. Hershey hasn't been able to handle our physicality. Coach Vogelhuber has done a wonderful job in his second year. Former Monster player who won the Calder Cup in 2016, now head coach, and he's just done an amazing job rallying the troops. What a dream season. The Monsters won the North Division, Rachel. Now they're down 0-2.
I was going to say it's not over yet. You're like, it was a dream season. I'm it's not over yet. Hold on, Nick. Hold on, Nick.
Let me get to my point. My point is, it's been a dream season so far, but this is the great thing about this team. Okay, they won the division. Cool. Then they had to play Bellevue, who they struggled with in the regular season, beat them in 4 games. Then they had to play Syracuse in the quarterfinals, who they also struggle with in the regular season, consistently playing against them. They swept them in 3 games. So this team can really go far. They already have past expectations. So I feel like, yeah, the best is still yet to come with this group. I really like watching them play. They're dangerous. And you know what? They went toe-to-toe with the champs in the first 2 games. They didn't win, but they went to Hershey, Rachel, and they gave them everything they wanted. Now they come home for 2, possibly 3 games. So the scenario is, and then I'll let you talk, is games 3 and 4 at Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse starting tomorrow night and Thursday night. And then game 5, if necessary, if they can win one of those games and avoid being swept, will be Saturday at Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse. So you have a chance here to possibly win 3 in a row at home, Rachel.
And then that would definitely turn the series on its head. But one of the things I got a chance to observe on Saturday night, I wasn't able to watch overtime because we actually had left the house and went somewhere, so we weren't in front of the TV. But, we pretty much watched it until it went into overtime, and then we left. But one of the things that we watched in that game was you watched the Monsters dominate the Bears. And you watched them, they outshot them on goal, at least in regulation. I think it was 36-27, and it looked like way more to me. And it was just like the Hershey goalie was amazing. I forgot what his name was, but he
Shepherd.
Just came up. Huh?
Yeah, Shepherd. Yeah.
Yeah, Shepherd. He just came up with all types of saves, just things you think he wouldn't save. And there was a lot of shots. They didn't have a ton of power plays compared to Hershey, so Hershey did score on one of their power plays. The Monster was not able to score. I think they had 4 or 5, and they were 0 for 4 or 5 on the power plays, and Hershey was able to score on 1. So it just looked like the Monster was out skating, out shooting, out doing a lot of things compared to the Hershey Bears. So like you, I actually thought that the Monsters were going to be able to win this game too. And unfortunately they didn't win, and that's the way that it goes. But hopefully, they're coming home to some home cooking, and one of the things that you were going to talk about was something that they have going on, because I know you've been covering the team and you're pretty close to the team. What's some of the things that they got going on for that home cooking and coming back home?
Well, tomorrow night, if you're looking for something to do, and everyone listening, I tell you what, Tuesday night, $10 for the upper deck, Rachel. You can't beat that. Go on SeatGeek, $10, and I think I looked the lower level pretty good seats are still 50, $60. That's still not bad at all. It's definitely worth it. The first 5,000 fans, I believe, receive a T-shirt along with a Fear of the Depths rally towel, which is the logo for the Monsters. So a lot of fun stuff going on. I know the Guardians are also playing. So downtown tomorrow. So downtown's going to be hopping for the Monsters and the Guardians. But yeah, it's a big game, and if they can do the same thing that they did in Game 2, I have to wonder if Hershey can keep up with the physicality of the Monsters. The Monsters need to keep playing hard, throwing them into the glass, beating them up. And you know what? I really thought, Rachel, they did a wonderful job in Game 2. And credit coach for this and the defense. They kept the Bears in front of them defensively, and they were able to slow the game down because Hershey's one of those teams. If you let them play the track meet, they're going to beat you every time. So we have to continue to play physical and slow them down if we're going to have a shot of winning tomorrow night.
And it was like the Monsters were winning the 50-50 pucks as well, too. So, like I said, they were out hustling Hershey. It seemed like the Monsters wanted it more. They were playing with a little bit of desperation, but they just couldn't get it in the goal when it counted. The goal with less than 3 minutes to play to tie the game to get into regulation. That was kind of amazing. That was a flurry of activity. But, just got to give hats off to the goalkeeper of the Hershey Bears because he was just phenomenal with everything that, the Monsters was given to him. So, hopefully the tide will turn a little bit. They get the chance to come home. They get a chance to be home in front of a home crowd. How well attended are these games?
The first playoff game I covered against Bellevue about a month ago, they had over 13,000. And for most of you that know, Rocket Mortgage is 20,000 capacity. So the fact that it was 75% was amazing. I was really impressed with that. The last couple of games, about 10 to 11,000. So they average about 10, I would say. So about half. But I think as we get farther into these playoffs, you're going to get more and more people coming. So.
Yeah, I definitely think so too. And just a traffic reminder, the Cleveland Guardians are in town tomorrow. They are playing Kansas City Royals. We're going to get to some Guardian talk, but just to remind people to try to get down there early if they possibly could. Uber or take the Rapid because there's going to be kind of a traffic nightmare, especially if you know what though, it's kind of crazy during the week. The Guardians do not draw as much, so I want to say that they're going to average about 16 to 17,000. So that possibly could get the same amount over at the arena too. So you're talking about 38 possibly 1,000 people downtown tomorrow night. So that's something that you definitely need to think about. So think about how you're going to get down there when it comes to patronizing the Monsters or the Guardians.
Yeah, absolutely. And you also want to get there early because you don't want to get stuck paying $50 for parking when they have a lot of these double events. Some of those lots really take advantage of people. So yeah, get there early, like Rachel's saying. And if you're on the fence, you guys should just come out. Like, even if you're not hockey fans, there's nothing like going to a hockey game. It's just a lot of fun and it's very affordable, especially to bring the family. I mean, you can't beat $10, Rachel.
I remember how awesome, and it was sold out when the Calder Cup, we won the Calder Cup, and I wanted to go. I couldn't find anybody to go with me, so I probably should have went by myself. But I was a little bummed that I wasn't down there when they actually won because that was pretty cool. I said 2016 was a year of destiny. 2/16/2016. I just thought that the Cleveland Indians at the time were going to win the World Series. I just thought, Stipe won, the Monsters won, the Cavs won. I'm like, this is it, baby. Everybody's winning this year. This is our year. And, unfortunately, the Cleveland Indians did not win the World Series. But, I remember, that the city was great. They even had a parade and everything. And George says, were they not the only team in the AHL to average 10 large for a home game this past season? Play tough, they will come.
Yeah, actually, that's a good point. They are number one in attendance this year. I did look up because they have the biggest arena. So I believe Hershey's only seats 7,000. So yeah, that's a good point to bring up. So yeah, I'm looking forward to a good crowd regardless. Even if the Guardians are playing, I don't think it's going to matter. I think in the end, people are going to get out when it comes to playoffs and semifinals, and you're playing the champs. I think that's enough to draw people.
Okay, cool. All right, Nick. We're gonna go ahead and get into our first break. That was a quick 15 minutes, but we are right here up against it. So we're gonna get into our first break right quick. You're listening to Her and Huddle on WOVU 95.9 FM, and we are going to be right back. All right, welcome back to Her and the Huddle on WOVU at 95.9 FM. This is your girl, Rachel Hill, the First Lady of Sports. I am here with my guy, Mr. Nick Toombs, who's guest co-hosting with us today. He's with VSBN Sports. And what was the other part that you said you guys were going to be on the lakefront?
Yes, ma'am.
On the lakefront is going to be a side. It's going to be. Correct me if I'm wrong.
It's a part of the website. It's just what we call our Cleveland coverage. Sorry, I didn't mean to confuse you.
Cleveland coverage. I'm sorry about that.
No, you're good. You're good.
On the lakeside. So that's very exciting. So exciting news for you guys. And has that officially started, or when can fans look forward to that?
Yeah, when you go to our website, VSBNradio.com, if you click on the lakefront, it pops up. So, yep, that's now.
Awesome. So happy to hear that. And then it looks like we got Sapphire joining us. Sapphire, how are you?
Good. Nice to see you, Rachel. Nick, my guy.
What's up? How you doing? Good.
Nice to see you. And I mean, see you, Sapphire got some new hardware, y'all. And I'm loving it. I love how you got that Delta red on. Woo-hoo. I love it. I love the red. It's looking good on you.
Thank you. And congratulations, Nick. The Celtics made it through.
We ain't congratulating him on nothing. How dare you?
I figure we'll talk Guardians now, and I'll gloat about the Celtics later.
Okay.
I'm about to.
Well, Rachel knows what I'm going to say. The New York Yankees are going to go undefeated for the rest of the season and win the World Series. That's all I got.
Well, they already got some losses, so that's kind of impossible. That I'm sure that'd be nice for Yankee fans to have that, but that's definitely not going to happen. But Sapphire, me and Nick was just finishing up talking about the Lake Erie. They're not the Lake Erie Monsters anymore. They were the Lake Erie Monsters when they won the Calder Cup. They are the Cleveland Monsters. Any thoughts about that series going on with the Hershey Bears and the Calder Cup Eastern Conference Finals?
No thoughts other than it's nice to put the city name on the team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, like I said before, I think, you're down 0-2 to the defending champs, Hershey. Explosive offense. We just have to play good defense tomorrow night. And I'm hoping our all-star goalie, Jack Greaves, is feeling better. He's coming back off that leg injury. So I just hope that he can stay healthy, and hopefully we have a shot to get one tomorrow night.
All right.
Yeah, come on, Jack. We can do this. And come on, fans, show up and support this team as well. We're not known as a hockey team, a hockey town, and I would love to have an NHL franchise here. I think it would be very well attended if we did have one. So, show up and support this team, and maybe if we could keep supporting this team, we have some of the highest attendance this season. If we keep supporting this team, possibly we can be rewarded with an NHL franchise. So, let's get out there, go Monsters, defeat the Hershey Bears, and let's go ahead and get to these Cleveland Guardians. So big series coming up tomorrow. So the Cleveland Guardians are off today. Yesterday, they played the Washington Nationals and they lost 5-2, but they did win the series, winning games on Friday and Saturday night. So right now this team is kind of rolling. And Sapphire, what are your thoughts about this team and where it's at right now at this point in the season?
Okay, so I always start by saying the baseball season is extremely long. So I really don't invest myself as much emotionally as you and Nick maybe. But I will say this, when they start winning series, I don't care about individual games, but when they start coming out on top of the series as we get later in the season, it does give me the warm and fuzzies. Our pitching historically is suspect. And, I apologize again. I have a thing about Joshua and that weight because I can't help it. The last time that man played a full season, can somebody help me? Jesus! I'm just saying, those are the things that after the All-Star break, you're going to see an uptick for me in terms of perspective, but it's just such a long season. But those are some good indices, what you're talking about now. Winning series, no one's getting injured at this point. Those are my thoughts.
Yeah, just go back to the Monsters really quickly. George had a comment. George, sorry, I didn't see that. He says it's going to be always Lake Erie, Nick. He said they had a niche when they were still that name. I still have my lapel pin, and my wife wears the LEM uni when Colorado Avalanche was the parent team. So, yeah, it's hard. Lake Erie Monsters, Cleveland Monsters. It's hard, but eventually we'll get there.
Well, real quick, actually, before Lake Erie, they were the Cleveland Barons, and then before that, they were the Cleveland Lumberjacks, and that's when I had season tickets. I remember that. That's my childhood right there. And real quick, back in the day, I think it was in the 70s, they were an NHL team, Rachel, with the Cleveland Barons for 3 years. So, FYI.
You go.
All right, now we can talk baseball. Yeah, I agree with you, Sapphire. It is a long season. It's hard to keep people invested. That's why I know there's been a lot of talk about MLB possibly even looking into an in-season tournament, kind of like NBA has done, trying to keep fans invested. I think as a Guardians fan, I am a diehard Guardians fan, and I think the thing that's keeping me invested is our new manager. I love Stephen Vogt. I am so excited he's here, and I love Tito Francona to death, but he is a breath of fresh air. The fact that these kids are starting to make contact with the ball and we're getting 4 to 5 runs at least a game is amazing. The days of 1 run, 2 runs, losing 2-1 are hopefully over with the new Stephen Vogt regime, and I'm really excited about it.
I had a quick question.
Saturday, you just had a 1-run game on Saturday.
Listen, you're not listening. Look before that. It's 1 game, but look at all these other games where they've won 7-1. They've won 6-4. I mean, they're hitting the ball, and I love it.
Yeah, Sapphire, what were you going to say? Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, because he makes a good point. What is the difference in the coach that can mean more runs scored per game? What is that, Nick?
I think a lot of it is, Tito was old school pitching duel. He used his bullpen only when he had to. He tried to develop his pitchers more. Vogt is more of a new school. Today's game, Houston Astros crush the ball. New York Yankees crush the ball, hitting wins them games. And I think he's trying to incorporate that into with already our very well-developed pitching staff. So I think he's trying to install a little new school baseball into these young players. And it's great to have Stephen Kwan back, by the way. He came back Friday night. That's another breath of fresh air, having another hitter in the lineup.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were going to talk about that too. But yeah, I think, vote ball is, one of the things that he's recognizes that this team isn't going to be a team that's going to, tear the cover off the ball. But, when this team does get on base, they're going to be aggressive on their base running. They're going to try to steal bases and stuff like that. So that's why it's so important when you are able to get, Stephen Kwan back, of your leadoff hitter, get him on base so other people can drive him home. So, those are some of the important things that he wants to do because this team does not hit a ton for power. They're getting there. Sapphire, you mentioned about pitching. Pitching has been one of the strengths of this team, and hitting has not. So right now, you're watching, pitching be in the decline because obviously we lost Shane Bieber this season. Tristan McKenzie right now is, I'm praying, hoping and praying that nothing further is going to happen because he chose not to have surgery. He chose to rehab that shoulder. So, I'm
Feed
hoping
that
that no
man.
injury will take.
Feed him.
Well, I think you can feed him all you want to, but I think he's not going to gain any weight. It's going to take a long, sustained effort to put some weight on Tristan McKenzie. What were you going to say,
Real quick.
Nick? I see you itching
Yeah.
to say something.
Yes. Yes. If I can have 30 seconds, then I'll shut up. Uh, okay. So going back to that point, Stephen Vogt also, I think too, he also leans on the bullpen. Some people say too much, but we have the best bullpen in baseball if you look at the numbers. And I think the bullpen really has been a huge advantage too. So when you're hitting and you have a bullpen, I think it takes less stress off of your starting rotation because, like you said, we lose our ace, the first week of the season. And I think our bullpen has really been a shining star for this team as well. No one's really talking about them.
Yeah, but also too, we need our starters to go a little bit longer so the bullpen doesn't get taxed as well. So you're striking that fine balance in between right there, where you need your starters to, if you can, have them take you to the sixth inning and not have your bullpen have to come in so early. Brandy, one of the things we have started this off with was our thoughts about where the Guardians are right now. We're about, I'd say, a quarter of the season in. You guys think about roundabout quarter of the season
Yeah.
in. So
Yeah.
let me check our record officially.
I have it.
What is it, Nick? 39 and
30,
20?
39 and 20, and they have a 4-game lead, first place in the Central over Kansas City.
Okay. Yeah, thanks to that run that we went on in Kansas City, actually came down to earth a little bit. Thank you, bejesus. Um, but yeah, so Brandy, what are your thoughts right now about what you're seeing out of this team with some injuries? Stephen Kwan has came back and stuff like that, and he went 4 for 8 this weekend as well. What are your thoughts about what you're seeing out of Stephen Vogt's team so far?
Yeah, I think a lot of people definitely didn't expect them to do that well as they're playing this year. So, that's been a surprise having a new manager, having some injuries, losing Shane, like you said, to start, obviously, kind of killed the momentum for them. But I think they're playing great. I think it's just if they'll be able to sustain it all season long and how that would translate into playoffs. But I think they've done well. I think last year we talked so much about the batting rotation, especially towards the end, was terrible. I think they're doing way better this year. I also saw this stat earlier. In all the games last year, they had 124 runs. And then in the 55 games this year, they've hit 63 already. So on pace to have about 40, 50 more home runs than last season, which is a big improvement.
Nice.
I mean, it's the Stephen Vogt factor. Wouldn't you agree, Brandy? I mean, look at these young guys that are making contact with the ball. Jimenez last year was awful offensively, and now he is transformed into a borderline all-star, in my opinion. You have Will Brennan, who's really starting to hit the ball too. So these younger guys are buying into a system, and it's showing.
Yeah, so they had a 9-game home winning streak going on until the loss yesterday. So you had a bad outing by Carlos Carrasco. Still kind of wondering why he was brought to this team. He brings no value. Every time he pitches the ball, you kind of grimace a little bit because you don't know what's going to happen. And the second inning got away from him yesterday, where they scored 4 runs, and unfortunately Cleveland just wasn't able to come back, and that was a little insurmountable. But also want to give out shout out for the attendance. So they had two home games that they both sold out. So first consecutive sellouts of the 2024 campaign. So congrats to everybody showing up, showing out. Make sure you show up for that team tomorrow as they take on the first three games against the Kansas City Royals right now, who are second place in the AL Central. So make sure that you get out to support them tomorrow. Make sure you're getting out to support the Monsters tomorrow as well. So make sure you are in downtown Cleveland. It's going to be the place to be to support both of those teams.
All right.
What
Yeah.
about Carrasco, though, real quick? I think they brought him in to be the veteran in the locker room to help these young pitchers. That's why he's there.
Yeah, but could you just not start?
He's their fifth guy. Give him a break, for crying out loud. I don't think he's been that bad, to be honest with you.
I mean, can you bring somebody else in? I mean, they got to do something at the trade deadline because this is a team that's I wouldn't say they're overachieving. I believe that they're doing what they thought they could do. An extension of what they weren't able to do last year with Tito. I think Tito was tired of the team. The team was tired of Tito, and they got the most out of him that they was going to get as a manager. And the roster last year just didn't produce as if we thought that they were going to produce. So I think it was best for everybody to move on. New coach, new situation. I think that this team is better positioned to make a playoff run this year, and you have to get serious about it at the trade deadline and do something and get another arm in here for your fifth arm, because Carlos Carrasco isn't going to get it done because you're going to get waxed in the playoffs if you have him pitching in your rotation.
Crickets.
Well, I hope everybody agreed with me. Nobody.
I hands down agree with you. I hands down agree with you. Absolutely.
I just think that he won't be pitching in the rotation. Very rarely in the playoffs do you have your fifth guy pitching. So I think, like I said, he's just the veteran. I know they got him on a cheap deal when he got released from New York. So I love Cookie. Very sentimental value for me. He was part of our run, a few years ago. So I just think, I agree with you. I told you off the air that they need someone. So I look for them to make a move at the deadline to add another arm.
Yeah, sentimental players don't win championships.
I know. I love Cookie, though. Come on. Even the fans love Cookie.
I know. I love Cookie, too, and I think it's great. I think his story is great, but we're talking about winning here. So, sentimental doesn't do anything for me because we play to win. Oh, God, guys, time has flown by. It looks like we got to take a break right quick. So we're going to be right back. You're listening to Her in the Huddle on WOVU 95.9 FM. We'll be right back.
Nick, don't you think they're taking this thing with Caitlin Clark and Brandy? Don't you think they're taking this thing with Caitlin Clark? Just extra. Come on. Ridiculous.
Yeah.
It is ridiculous. Why would you punish and trash someone that is basically carrying your league?
And they've been after Angel too. It's weird.
I mean, Caitlin is who's drawing. Let's be honest. I mean, come on. We had the most historic women's college basketball season ever. She's drawing the ratings.
Yeah,
that's right. But I'm loving me how Chicago is playing. I mean, I maybe we'll be able to go check one of those games out when we're over there, Rachel. Or are they still playing that time of year? I think they are. I have to look at the schedule.
Till like September, I think.
Yes, that would be really cool to catch a game.
Indiana's not that far.
Right.
Is that a joke, Nick?
What?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Welcome back to Her in the Huddle on WOVU 95.9 FM. Seems like y'all had a good time during the commercial break. Of course, I can't hear what y'all saying, but I'm glad y'all coming back to laughter and smiles. So George had a comment, and George says, teams in competition for either a division or a wild card. Are there any needs for this team to be better than they are at the deadline? My number one need, of course, is pitching. Your thoughts. So he's asking for all of our thoughts. So Sapphire, you go first.
One more time with the question.
So George says, are there any needs for this team to be better than they are at the deadline? It says his number one need, of course, is pitching, and he asked for our thoughts.
I mean, I would totally agree with that. I'm so old. It doesn't matter how amped I get about the Indians, the Guardians. At the end of every season, it's always the pitching that seems to fail. So yeah, I would address that at the trade deadline more than anything else.
Brandy?
Yeah, I agree with that completely. It's also crazy to see like last year heading into the trade deadline, we wanted completely different things. So it is, interesting to see a complete flip from last season.
Mm-hmm. Nick?
I agree. Pitching, pitching, pitching. However, here's my question. Maybe Sapphire will chime in on this. Last year the champion Texas Rangers went all in. They got pitching and another stick at the deadline. At what point do we consider, if we're still playing this well, and we are, in the top two in the AL, do we go all in and we get another stick and another arm? Why not go for it? Seriously, what do you have to lose with this young team?
No, and I agree with you because they're young. I totally agree with what you're
That's what
saying.
Texas did. Yeah, Texas did the same thing last year.
Absolutely. And then I just look at historical data at the same time. So if I had to prioritize, I would go with Nick, everything that you said, right? But what it would drive me absolutely insane is if we're sitting in the same place as it relates to pitching near the end of the season. That would drive me absolutely insane because that need is still, it's been consistent. It's been here. It's not going away. That has been the thing.
That's fair.
Well, going into the break, I had mentioned pitching, but one of the things is we got to shore up what we're doing out in right field. So we still don't know, who we have out in right field yet. We're kind of platooning and putting people out there. I like Will Brendan out there. He's hitting really well, as Nick mentioned before. But also, too, you got to do something about shortstop. Gabriel Arias and Brian Rocchio really aren't doing too much. So you got to figure out kind of what's going on at shortstop. Defense is not too bad, but you got to figure out what's going on and with the bats as well. So I definitely think that you go all in on both. And the Guardians are one of the best organizations. Well, they're one of the best. Team organizations as far as that aspect goes. Nick, that's an inside joke. As far as organizational wise, baseball organizational wise, they know what they're doing, and they have a lot of constraints to work against, such as how much the owners are willing to pay for arms and bats and things like that. So they work against those constraints, and they're able to sometimes make magic happen. I think that they're going to go all in because this is a very young team, but they're having a very promising run. They're kind of probably hoping for what happened in 2022 when they brought up all these rookies and they performed immediately and they went to the playoffs. So they're probably hoping, to catch some more magic in a bottle and be able to do that.
And what happened in 2022? They ran out of batting against the New York Yankees. If you're going to beat the Bronx Bombers, Sapphire knows you have to have the hitting, also the pitching, but you have to have the arsenal in the tank to compete with New York, to get past them.
Every time I hear New York Yankees, I get chill bumps because I don't know if I need to remind you how old I am. I saw the first iteration, okay, of the Bash Brothers. I think I'm seeing the second iteration of the Bash Brothers with that Yankee tandem up there. Just Rachel, real quick, they're gonna go undefeated for the rest of the season.
But they don't have any pitching, Sapphire. They're like the Guardians in the same point. I mean, they got me pitching.
But do they need it? Like, is it the chicken or the egg? You have that type of weaponry. I mean, come on, that type of hitting, that's gonna cover a lot of the need on the pitching side. They are cranking. I mean, and Brandy, maybe it's at some point you can help me out with their stats. What I'm seeing is like once in a generation type offensive output from their hitters. I'm just blown away. Like I think that they're the reason why those games are going to be sold out at Progressive Field because people are going to want to come and see that display of offensive power that has not been seen in decades. That's how great I think they are. I'm sorry. I'm sorry,
Talking about
Rachel.
the Yankees when the Yankees come to
Yes.
town. They
Yes.
already came, girl. They already
Yeah,
had
they
their
already
trip this
came.
year.
They're not coming back. I mean, I didn't
No,
even
they're
look
No,
at
not
the
coming
schedule.
back.
Okay, my
They
bad. I'm
played them
sorry.
early in the season,
They,
which
they
is
good
kind
always
of
come.
rare.
Yeah, the last couple of years they've come in April. I don't know
Yeah,
good
why,
thing.
but
They are
yeah.
greatness. Mark my words. They are
but they
greatness.
haven't won a title since '09. They're like my Celtics. They got to prove it, you know.
Okay, fair enough, Nick. Fair enough. Fair enough. They're gonna win it this year, though. Excuse me.
Uh-uh.
hmm Yeah. How about so? Hats off to Emmanuel Clase,
Yeah.
fifth time AL reliever of the month. So he has not blown a save at all this year. He is getting out there and doing it. So that's a player that very Eddie steady and very reliable for this franchise. So as he continues to do his thing, he continues to be rewarded. And I know it's too early for All Star, right? It's too early to start talking about All Star stuff, right?
Yeah.
The problem is, I love Class A. He's our version of Aroldis Chapman. But you have him, Jose. You have Naylor. Some of these older guys. That's why I want them to go all in, Rachel,
Okay.
because I don't know how much longer we're going to have Class A. You just don't know. I know they have him for 3 more years after this year, but the window is now. So I just like what Texas did last year, and I think we should follow their philosophy. And I think that if you have someone at the deadline, go after them, get them. They can DH because I love Rocchio at short. He's a great shortstop. I don't think he's as good as Lindor yet, but he has the potential. He hasn't gotten the batting part down yet, but you want him at the short.
Yeah, he's struggling a little bit with the bat. If we can get the bat to go together, that'd be a great thing. And I know Sapphire keeps talking about, Josh being a little bit wider than all outside, but you're gonna miss him when he's gone.
All of him. Yes. I'm
You're
going
gonna
to
miss
miss
him when he's gone.
all of him when he's gone.
Because
Just
like
Tony,
saying.
Larry Dolan said, enjoy him while he's here. That's
Yes.
gonna be the thing that you're gonna be saying about Josh
All of
Naylor. You're
him.
gonna be like, I miss all that loving over there.
Yes. And also that it's unfortunate he shortened his career because he couldn't stay on profile. I'm sorry. And let's
Well,
just
I
be real
mean,
about it.
that helicopter, fall, wasn't necessarily, his fault, that ended his season. Outside of that, pretty much everything that has happened with his leg since then has kind of been a consequence of that, that collision and that fall
Yeah.
that he had. So,
Well, I think I'm talking more about the metabolic syndrome that the jersey is covering. I mean, it's just different. I mean, with all due respect of fans, we invest in the team. Like we invest in the team. The athlete needs to take care of his or her body. That is why we invest in the team. You look at the difference in body between he and his brother. Like, come on. These are professional athletes. They're playing for professional teams. There must be some way that the team can help him in some way. I mean, honestly, get his physicality together, right? It's just Murphy's law sooner or later. And I'm very, very thin about this. I mean, I remember watching Kirby Puckett, similar situation, Prince Fielder. I could go on and on and on. They have such incredible talent in their pinky, right? That multiple people together probably could not amass. Just take care of your body, stay in shape. I'm
Brandy,
gonna stop. Everybody can say she's being a little intense right now. Okay.
Drop mic.
you
No,
feel the same way, Brandy?
yeah, I do.
I
I mean,
like Josh, so I'm like, oh, like I don't know
you
what to
like it because
say.
you think he's gorgeous, girl. I'm looking at the team. I'm looking at
No,
wins and losses. I'm thinking, where
no,
is my
not
ring? You're like,
not
oh, he's so good.
not really, because when I went to him and introduced myself to him, he looked at me like I was a space alien, and I was told he didn't trust any media. So, Bo was a lot more personable and a lot more friendly, and Josh is very distrustful of the media. So, I wouldn't say, my first interaction with him was like necessarily the best interaction, but that's all about relationship building. So, I wouldn't say I love him all like that. I do love him as a player. I love him as his playmaking ability and stuff like that. For him to be somebody who is on the overweight side, he's not a terrible first baseman. He's able to stretch out and make the plays that's needed. So I'd say I like him more as a player. That's where the I like Josh comes from. Is before I can really get on him. And then let's be honest. I've struggled with weight problems, so I know what it's like. I'm not an athlete where my only job is
Absolutely.
to
You're not a
go out and
professional
play a
athlete.
game.
And
It'd
sumo
be a lot
wrestlers
more
can stretch
different.
too.
Huh?
Sumo wrestlers can stretch too. I'm sorry. I'm unruly on this. And no, you're not a professional player, okay? And let me apologize, Joshua. If the reason why you're not treating our wonderful host of Her in the Huddle fairly is because of my comments, let me apologize. Please don't let that be a reflection of her. I'm just saying.
Sapphire is fired up tonight.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Come on. Because we're going to need him. We're going to need him late in the season, man.
Yeah. And George says, when is David Fry going to start playing every day? He's number one in OPS and hitting the ball all around. Even went in as a pitch hitter and smacked in the 3-run home run. Yeah, he's having a phenomenal season. He didn't have a season like this last year, but he's having a phenomenal season. That's all you can really say with that.
But who do you bench then? That's the question.
Hmm.
Who are you going to bench?
That's a great question.
Our defense is loaded.
I heard the answer. Say it again louder.
Brandy, was that you?
I don't think it was me.
Well, Sapphire, who answered it? What was the answer, Sapphire?
Don't be shy. Just repeat what you said.
Who, me?
Was it you or was it Brandy? Come on. I heard it.
It was Rachel.
No, it wasn't me.
No, all I said is who are they going to bench in order to play him every day? I mean, do you move him to first and then put Naylor in DH? I mean, that's the only thing I can think of because you're not going to bench anyone in the outfield for him.
Well, I mean, you DH Fry?
I guess, but he's pretty athletic. Don't you want him in the field?
Yeah, that's true.
See, that's the problem. Honestly, I could see them packaging him to get a big stick. He'd be in the package.
I hate to lose young talent though.
Arias and him, I could see both of them being packaged.
Okay, I'd be all right with Arias, but I don't know. I mean, I don't know how long he's going to be able to hit like 345 and stuff like that. That's not going to continue to last, for the rest of the season. But, I like what I'm seeing. And it's like, you could keep him as part of this young core. So I don't know if I'm ready for him to leave just yet. So
do you want a World Series ring or not?
Boom. Boom.
I trade my mama. Let me stop. No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't trade my mama.
I mean, I'm sorry. I love the Guardians to death, but screw the future. I want a damn ring now. I've been waiting all my life.
Yes, and multiply that by 3, and you know how long I've been waiting. Same thing, man. Let's go.
Oh, man. I said that so quick. I feel so bad for that. So, you guys, we're going to go ahead to home stretch. We're going to go ahead and talk some NBA. So, we're going to finish up with talking about, we're going to get into JB a little bit, and then we're going to talk about Boston versus Dallas. So, know Nick is salivating. So, you're listening to Her in the Huddle on WOVU 95.9 FM. We'll be right back.
They're actually showing a finals preview on SportsCenter right now.
Are they?
Yep.
Let me get my YouTube TV on. YouTube TV, baby. Let me see.
They're showing the youngest coach ever to make the finals, Joe Mazzulla.
You said ESPN, Nick?
Yep.
SportsCenter. I love that East Coast brash. Go now. Oh, wow. Larry Allen passed away.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
All right, welcome back to Her and the Huddle on WOVU at 95.9 FM. This is your girl, Rachel Hill, the First Lady of Sports. I got my girl, Brandy. I got Sapphire, and I got Nick Toombs, guest co-hosting with us today. So super excited. We're going to go ahead and get to NBA action. So when JB got fired, it was during the holiday, right before the holidays. So we did not have a show, so we did not get a chance to talk about it. And really quickly, briefly, just want to get everybody's thoughts about that fire. And Nick, we will take you first.
Well, you have been in the media room with me. JB was so playful with the media, great human being. I really love that man a lot. He was a pleasure to work with and cover his teams. But the question is, to me, is there has to be a purpose why he got fired. He advanced to the second round. I know he was very polarizing in the Cleveland area, but I think there is a reason why he got fired, and they are cooking something big in the front office. Something big is coming, and I think it starts with Donovan Mitchell resigning. That's all I got.
What? Wait. I'm sorry. Let me turn up my volume. What did you just say?
I said, really, it wasn't more performance-based firing. I think they are paving the way for something big coming to the Cavaliers. I think you're going to see a huge facelift coming as soon as the season ends. So that's why he got fired. And I do believe that Mitchell is going to sign an extension. It's coming.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure I heard that correctly. Now, I'm so curious, Nick. I need you to look at the camera. What's the real scoop? Who's coming?
I think we all know who's coming home. Let's be honest.
No, I'm being honest. Who's coming?
Well, it's got to be LeBron James. It has to be.
No.
Listen.
I thought you were
going
to say Ant-Man. Come on.
No, not Ant-Man.
Who'd you thought he was going to
say? Ant-Man. He's not leaving Minnesota.
Oh, God. He's still on the rookie deal.
No. LeBron James doesn't show up for a playoff game if he doesn't have a purpose. That was all strategic. He is coming home.
It's called megalomania. It's called an ego. Like, come on now. Come on. Please don't put us as diehard Cavaliers fans back on the roller coaster, Nick.
Mitchell and LeBron. Book it.
Brandy.
Well, I think I was kind of waiting for the firing of JB. I know we did make it to playoffs the second round, but I think there was just a lot of game management decisions that I questioned a lot of times during the season. There was also some rumblings about certain players in the locker room not liking him. So, I think that was something definitely that had to do with it. If we want Donovan Mitchell back, there's rumors a 4-year deal might be coming.
Yep.
But I think you have to make your star player happy, and I think getting JB out the way was one of those things.
Yep.
But LeBron was sitting courtside last time he came back when he left Miami, so I don't know. He did it.
That's again. What I'm saying.
He did it again.
I am reading the tea leaves.
But didn't Rich Paul say somewhere there was really nothing to that? Didn't I see a quote from him? Because he was asked about it. He's good with LA. Something to that effect.
I mean, you got to say that for right now.
Yeah, agents are full of crap. Everyone knows that. Come on. You got to say that stuff. It's happening.
Biblical. Long suffering.
I was waiting for the firing for a while. There were some games where, they had got blown out. It wasn't just the playoffs. It was, you think about that loss to the Clippers. They came back from 26 points down and then getting blown out by 40 by Miami and stuff like that on the road. So it was just, some games in which just, they got blown out when they should have been winning those games. And I just thought it was going to happen a lot sooner than it did, but I think it was kind of perfect timing. Kobe is, his job is on the line too. So, he definitely has to get this right. George says, couldn't they give Spider a max extension? And I believe the answer is yes. And I think at first I was thinking that he wasn't going to sign that, but I definitely think he will sign that now. I don't know about LeBron James, Nick. I don't know. It's just like, we're not getting LeBron James is back in his prime. We're getting a 39, about to be 40-year-old LeBron James back if LeBron does decide to come here. And every day that I wake up, something, I don't like to tell my age, but I am over 40. And every day that I wake up, something else new hurts. So I can't imagine what it is, on a body that's seen thousands of miles, playing and running and jumping and diving and, doing all the and shooting and all this other stuff for the past, over 20 years, because he's been in the league for over 20 years. And he's been playing basketball since he probably was about 6 years old now. So, we're not getting a LeBron James that we want to get back. Yes, LeBron, great in name and all the hubbub and, all the other stuff that come. But, it's just, it's LeBron James now. It's not championship mode LeBron.
Rachel, he averaged 27 points a game this year. That's still really good.
Yeah,
that's
the Lakers.
That's
the
performing
Lakers
high level. Well, the Lakers,
Yeah.
they had me coaching this year, so come on.
I
Lakers
do
suck.
say, I think a part of him wanting to come back is also maybe because of Bronny. I think, he hasn't been drafted that high with prospects. And I think looking at the league, what teams would take a chance on drafting Bronny? The Cavs is one of them.
The Lakers
Cavs and
are
Lakers.
at 17, and the Browns.
Yeah.
I was going to say the Browns. The Cavs are at 20 in the draft.
Right.
So
He
I
won't go
believe
till second round.
You think so?
Yeah, he'll be a second rounder.
Yeah, averaging 4.4 points. But hey, I mean, whatever. That's not on me.
And here's my question: how tall is the young man really? Can somebody tell me?
6'4"?
There's some questions about how he measured differently. I'm just curious. Like, I have no idea about him. He really wasn't relevant in terms of SC basketball. I can't imagine the amount of stress that young man carries. I mean, I can't even imagine. But I still think if we're at a point with any professional team where we are doing that, like, what does that say about the organization? I'm sorry. I just, yes, averaging 26 points a game, but how does bringing LeBron James and all that comes with him help the Cavaliers move towards the ultimate goal of a championship? Right? And then, by the by, I was thinking you were going to say maybe Steve Van Gundy as coach. I was thinking you were going there. I'd never thought in a million years that you would mention LeBron James.
Mm-hmm.
That's cooking up something good.
He came and watched our game for a reason. He wasn't just having.
Oh yeah, because LeBron doesn't take a breath unless it's calculated.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you know what? Are you really going to be? Are you going to be that person that tells him, no, you can't come home? Of course, they're going to let him come home.
Yeah.
I mean, not just but the conversation should be more than that, right? Like, if the Cavaliers are going to invite him back here under the condition that his son comes with him, what does that mean? What does that look like? I mean, those are the other questions that are important to ask, right?
So you let him ride the bench. Big deal. I'm okay with it.
That's if that would be acceptable to LeBron James.
He's not an idiot. LeBron knows Sapphire. He knows his son isn't, near the player he is. So he's not stupid. So
no, not at all, Nick. But I submit to you, why should that matter? If you have enough capital to dictate terms the way that LeBron James does, do you really think he's going to be okay with his son not playing?
I honestly think that as long as he gets to play with him in some capacity, he's okay with that. And if you saw Bronny's interview, some of the players he looks up to, it isn't LeBron. It isn't the headliners. He loves the fact he could be a role player like a Derek White. He said that.
A Derek White. Okay.
Yeah, so George says, because we got 2 minutes, less than 2 minutes ago, George says, in my opinion, Bronny James should have went back to college for another
Yes.
year. And to me, this is a project pick. I think we all can agree with that. Really quickly, the finals are about to start. Nick, we already know who you picking. We know you picking Boston. The finals will still be going on while we're on air. Brandy and Sapphire, your picks really quickly because we'll get into it more next week after a couple games have taken place next Monday when we come back. But Brandy and Sapphire, who are your picks for the finals?
I'm rocking with Kyrie and Luca in Dallas.
Woo! Older sister, I'm rocking with the Mavs too, baby doll. Go ahead, Brandy. What I'm
I
talking about,
I
girl.
have no rooting interest in this series as well. I do not want Kyrie to win another ring after he left us. Yes, I'm still salty about it. I ain't getting over it. Whatever. I hate Boston too. But I think Boston is going to win this series. How many games? I don't know. I think that they're not going to sweep the Mavs, which I thought they possibly could have. It's not going to happen. But I'm going to thank you all for being here today, Nick. Thank you so much for being here today, being a guest co-host with us. Thank you to my host Sapphire. Thank you to my host Brandy. I appreciate you, ladies, and we'll be back next week with her in the huddle on WOVU 95.9 FM, and we are out of here.
The dog wanted to join the show.
Okay. My cousin's dog. Ouch.